Hey, if you got this part of the video, you've got the live unedited edition. Home Gadget Geeks, Thursday night, the 11th of February. Mike, I have finally figured out where to look for the date. Aaron, last week, I started looking for the date in the bottom right-hand corner, and then you panic. You're like, oh, where is it? Because, right, yeah, you're used to going to the bottom right. I had to go to the top left. Mike had to just say, I kind of knew it was there, but I didn't.
Right.
So
You
Mike
just got to train your eyes.
Mike says, Jim, the time is in the upper right-hand corner. And I was like, oh, that's right. That's where it is. So it is the 11th of February. It's 8 o'clock in the Central Time Zone. If you got this any other time than that, you got the recorded version, and that's okay. Hang tight. We usually edit this part out and post it to the averageguy.tv. But if you want to join us, we're live every day, 8 p.m. Central, and we'd love to have you join us. There's a few out there I see in chat. Brian, Ken, and Joe have joined us. If you're listening and you haven't jumped into the chat room, do that as well. There's a link actually right below me down there that'll take you to if you're on our live page, take you to the YouTube page that has the chat room. We'd love to have you jump in and do that as well. While you're on YouTube, just go ahead and like the video, because then you're gonna forget at the end. So, because that's how it works, Mike, right? I mean, you get to the end, you've had a few of these,
right?
You're like, I don't remember. So click it now. Just go ahead and click. We're waiting for you. Go ahead. Just get it done. And then over there is a subscribe. And if you want to get notified anytime we go live, you'll get that as well. Aaron Lawrence is with us, and we're looking forward to it. Aaron, I didn't get a chance to tell you this in the pre-show, but one of the listeners who I meet with on a regular basis said, hey, is Aaron on this week? I said, yeah. And he said, great. She's my favorite. So
yay. Thank you. What's his name?
There you go. Ed is his name. Ed
is my new favorite listener.
Yeah. So it's good. So Ed was like, yeah, she's always great. So
awesome. That's so nice to hear. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for coming on.
Lopta, your chat's coming in from Twitch, by the way, just so you know. Lopta's actually watching over there on Twitch instead of YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's not the first time actually we've tested the chat coming from both. So I know, Lopta, I don't think you can't see the YouTube chat, but from our side, we see everything consolidated. So it's working.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm doing the Leinenkugel's, what is this thing called? Snowdrift Vanilla Porter tonight.
Such a good beer.
It is a really good one. It is a good one. Aaron ran out of beer, apparently. But what do you have, Aaron?
I have, I took the vote of the internet, and I've made myself a Manhattan. Bourbon Manhattan.
Nice. So what do you put in a Manhattan?
I always prefer bourbon. I know some people make it with rye, and Canadian rye in particular, but I don't care for that myself. So bourbon,
that's the original recipe is Canadian rye.
Yeah. Bourbon, red vermouth, bitters, and that's it. The cherry. Bitters. That's the 1, 2, 3. That's it. Yeah. Straight up.
It's an easy mix.
Yes.
I did buy a Jefferson's mix one time where they had put together all those components. So you just poured it out of the bottle, which is, and that's a Jefferson's bourbon. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay,
it was pretty good. Okay. So makes
my wife and I always joke that we're not adults yet, because adults have all those ingredients to make those drinks on hand. Like my wife and I are like, well, we have some beer in the fridge, and maybe like 2 bottles of wine. Yeah, but usually those go out, and you have to run to the store every time. So we always still joke. I would love to be able to have that on hand. Nice little drink cart or something.
You need
cocktail bar.
A little bar. A little bar.
I do.
This has been at Christmas time. I bought that wine fridge for Sarah, for me. And let's be real clear. She's on the other side of the wall, but it was for me. So I got this wine fridge. Do you have a wine fridge, Aaron? Have you gotten that far?
I do not, but actually, well, I guess we do. We have. My husband calls it the beer fridge, but I usually stash some wine in there. So we have a secondary.
But it's like a fridge.
Small fridge.
It's just a fridge. Like it's not a dedicated like this. We bought
it's not special. No
wine. It's just for wine. It's got the racks in it. And then I put up some new cabinets and a wine rack up top. So the reds are up top and the whites are down below being chilled or whatever needs to be chilled. And it's pretty great. Well, then right next to it is now the new bar. So that's where you mix all the stuff that you need. You open the cabinets, all the liquors are there. It's pretty great. And then we've decided maybe we shouldn't drink so much.
Right. But you guys see the thing about America that I love is that you can stock your bar and it doesn't break the bank. Right. In Canada, if you need, 4 or 5 different bottles of booze, like that's half your paycheck.
Yeah.
Liquor
Is it really that expensive up there?
Oh, it's easily twice the price for a bottle of liquor.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
It hurts. You have to
Just because
really want to drink,
tax,
and sometimes we
or
do.
like what, do they tax it heavy, or what is it?
Mainly tax, and then especially with stuff coming over the border from the US, there's
Got it.
exchange and price difference and shipping and everything else. And by the time it gets to our shelves, it's just ridiculously expensive for liquor.
That sucks.
It does.
Even beer and wine too, like everything, or just liquor?
Local beer, like Canadian beer, is generally pretty affordable, but anything
Okay.
that comes from outside, like, and let's be honest, most wine doesn't come from Canada, so
Right.
wine is too, and then most of your spirits as well are coming
Wow.
from outside. So
All right, learn
yeah,
something
if you
new.
come to Canada, bring your own liquor.
BYOB.
Yeah.
That's right.
What are you doing with all that beer in your car? Going to Canada.
That's
Apparently,
But
apparently they don't have
Andrew's
any.
pointing out Canada has Timbits, which we do, and they're awesome. So
What's
are
a
they?
Timbit?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, do you know what Timbits
No.
are? Timbits are tiny little you would call them donut holes.
Okay.
Okay.
So they deep fry the donut holes and turn them into basically mini versions of the donuts, but they're delicious. And they used to cost like 5 cents each or 4 cents each, something ridiculous. So you could get a whole box and bring it to the office. Delicious donuts, yes.
Sounds really good, especially right now.
I know.
Right.
Kind of hungry now.
I got in trouble last night because I didn't know my wife there was just a half of a Panera cookie on the table, and I thought it was just she'd eaten half, and she's like, "Oh, I probably didn't want the whole thing," so I ate it, and she had been saving that to eat with her ice cream,
Oh.
and yeah, I got in trouble for that one, but it was delicious, worth it.
Worth the marital
Yeah,
strife.
yeah, you're like, it's all right. It was worth it.
Yeah.
You know, you cringe, and then you're like, it was so good.
Yeah. You apologize, and then you lick your lips afterwards.
Yeah. All right, friends. Thanks for jumping in, Andrew. Good to see you out there. Yeah, I guess he's new. From not new, but Andrew's here all the time. But from the last time I said it, so let's get started. We got a lot to cover. Here we go. Let me do this thing.
Dates top right, Jim.
Thanks. Ooh, what's good that because I didn't change anything on the script. That's good. Here, February 11th. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 479, recorded on February 11th, 2021. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home, news, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios. And here, Mike and Aaron, you can complain with us as well tonight. The Vortex, right? Is that what they're calling it, or the Arctic? What are they calling that thing? That's
I think it's the polar vortex.
Polar vortex.
It comes from my homeland, so
is it your fault
Sorry.
that we are so
yeah,
cold
who can
here?
we blame? Because this is awful.
I think there's a song called Blame Canada, so play it now.
Yeah, well, that's why hockey is so good in Canada, right? Because the lakes are frozen all the time.
Exactly.
Mike, are you ready? I saw like a low of like -16 for us next week.
Yeah,
like,
and a high of -2 on Monday, which, so a guy at work just moved here from San Diego, and he's like, is this normal? And I'm like, no, don't, like, we'll have maybe a day or two of this, but not weeks on end like we're in now.
Yeah.
And I have my fence is torn down. They did it at the perfect time. They tore down the fence, and the next day when they're going to go put it up, we got a bunch of snow. And with these temperatures, none of it's melted. So I've just been stuck. It's like this weird phase we got into. And so I'm just really cheering on the higher temperatures that might come. I think a week from now is when we might get some higher temps.
Aaron, do Canadians get cold? I mean, is that like you listen? You can't live in Canada and complain about being cold, right? You can't do it. It's not legal.
Oh no, it's a national pastime. In fact, yeah. No, we get cold. I guess you kind of get used to it because, in all honesty, once the temperature gets below about -20 Celsius, which I think is like about the
-3
in Fahrenheit.
I think.
Okay, thank you. I can't do that math. You just stop feeling colder. It's like all one hideous, horrific level of cold.
Yeah.
But things happen, like your nostrils stick together when you inhale.
Yes.
And nothing works. So all my Ring cameras go offline. much below minus
Oh.
20. And
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I'll have to think. I'll have to
So
watch
technology
those.
freezes. Yeah.
Yeah, this will be the first year it had ring up and it's been that cold. I installed them. We got broken into New Year's last year. So I put them up pretty fast, but we never really saw those temps last year. We're going to see them this year for sure. So I'll have to check. Anything else tech wise that I need to be aware of? If certainly your phone could have problems if you wouldn't want to leave your phone in the car.
No, in fact, I've taken my phone out in those temperatures, like minus 10, minus 20, and in a couple of minutes, if it catches that chill, it will just shut right down. I've had that happen to my iPhone multiple times. And then what else shuts down in the cold? I mean, cars and everything.
Yeah, but you don't plug
work,
you don't plug your cars in, do you? Up there?
A lot of people do.
Okay.
We park ours in our garage, and our garage stays
warm
reasonably warm. So, but a lot of people will plug them in, use their block heaters. A lot of folks have heated garages for that purpose. It doesn't tend to stay that cold for that long, but to answer your original question, no, Canadians don't like this either.
Well, you'd think, hey, you live there, you know what you're getting into. It's not like Florida when Florida gets to cold, and they're like, oh, this is terrible. It's never cold there. So they have the ability to complain, but
it's all relative, right?
We can't in the Midwest either. I was thinking, when we think of tech and cold and some of those kinds of things, just your car on those, like, because of a lot of folks aren't driving the same patterns that they drove before. They're not going to work every day, or they're doing something different, right? That car sits long enough. It's really hard on vehicles to be that cold for that long. So I've been trying to start mine at least once every day.
Oh, that's a smart idea. I didn't really factor that in either. So yeah. I think different times.
Good idea. A lot of folks have apps now. If you're buying a new car, Ed Sullivan, who we talked about earlier, is buying a new Tesla. Paul Breran has a Tesla. You can just tell the car to turn on. Just get on your phone and I think there's some other cars. Mike, do you know of any other? Don't you guys have some smart capabilities?
Yeah. My Chevy has the app, right, where you can turn it on. And now here's an idea, Jim. You got me thinking. Maybe there's a home assistant way of open my garage door at a certain time, open the garage door, start the car. Yeah. Okay, for just a few minutes, turn the car back off, shut the garage door. Oh, that might be a good.
Right, you could totally make that a routine. Yes. Yeah, and that would be smart.
Yeah,
I hope Chevy has integrations with some app. I can make that work. That would be pretty cool.
Well, you'll have it figured out by the end of the show.
Yeah, I'll be working on that while you guys talk.
Well, we speaking of that, we post show notes out at theaverageguy.tv for this Home Gadget Geeks /HGG479. Couple reminders. Of course, crypto's in the news, and I this is one of those things. And actually, many of you have taken me up on the Coinbase offer. So go to theaverageguy.tv/Coinbase, sign up for an account. They'll give you 10. They'll give me 10, which is awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. And then there's some training that you can take there. They're literally the cheesiest videos. Actually, they're not bad, to be honest. You can watch them. They're 2 or 3 minutes long, and you can make about $30 or $40 in these different cryptocurrencies just for watching the video. And I always tell people, Aaron, if you don't understand crypto, don't trade it. Don't buy it if you don't understand it. But learn on somebody else's dime, right? Why wouldn't you do that?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Why wouldn't you do that? So, well, you could head over to theaverageguy.tv/Coinbase. I imagine you being in Canada shouldn't be any problem getting on Coinbase in Canada. Mike, do you know? They're not just the U.S.
That's a great question. I don't know. I know the KYC stuff rules might be a little bit different up there, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, Mike, Aaron, you figure that out while Mike's talking. Yes, he's going to figure out how to get the garage door working. And but nonetheless, check it out for yourself. Theaverageguy.tv/Coinbase if you want to jump out there.
Well, it's always good to give a quick price update too, because I know a lot of you maybe don't follow the markets, and so you're like, okay, I've been hearing that it's been going up, but how much? So just for kind of reference, we use Bitcoin as kind of the standard. About 11,000 at the end of November, mid-November end. I mean, it's up to 48,000 a coin now. So, I mean, that is a massive jump. It's gotten close to 50. I think it actually did it cross 50 or get close to 50 in the past few days. And it keeps kind of flirting around now. And so just some crazy numbers. Everyone's been kind of expecting a drawback, but it keeps not happening, right? We got to 20 and everyone's like, oh, then we got to 30. I was like, is this going to come back? And it just keeps going up. It's been on news from, Elon Musk announcing that Tesla has a $1.5 billion, stake in Bitcoin, things like that. But yeah, for those of you guys who don't follow it, that's where we stand today. Kind of fun to give you guys updates for those of you who don't, track this on a daily basis.
Ethereum is really the story, to be honest, in this. I mean, Bitcoin, it's kind of a yawner. And I mean, it's done some great stuff, but Ethereum has really done really well through these times. And Bitcoin pulled back a little bit, and Ethereum surged ahead. And actually, from a price perspective, it's I don't know if it's exactly the same percentage increase, but it's pretty darn close. So both Bitcoin and Ethereum have done pretty well. My point in all that, Mike, is if you don't understand it, now is not the time to figure it out with your own money. Right, get in there, figure out a way to do it, learn before you.
We're not just supposed to all go grab Dogecoin. I heard that was the thing, Jim. We all just go put all your money into Dogecoin, Dogecoin and GameStop, and I hear you'll be a millionaire. Isn't that how it works?
It's over. I think that's
it is. It is definitely over.
I think that gig is up, and Doge may be out here before we know it as well, but. It would be good. I think it would be good. Mike and I have been talking about crypto for a while now. And I think if you haven't jumped on it, don't feel the pressure to, but certainly start paying attention to it. Like, I think it's going to be one of those things that's going to be around and in the news and something you might want to stay interested in. There's lots of easy ways to get it done. So get that done as well. Aaron, hopefully by now, I bought a Mac.
I have heard the word on the street.
I know. I'd love to say you influenced me, but it was really Uyghur.
It was both of us. I'll give her some credit. Every time you're on with the Apple products.
Yeah.
We've been.
You're coming over. Like, what prompted this? What was sort of the straw that broke the pierced the apple?
Yeah, the M1 chip. So my buddy Ed got one, and he was telling me how great they were for video processing and like how fast it was and the battery life. And so I was mentioning that to Mike on the show, and we started talking about it, and I almost bought it right on the show. Like he didn't even have to talk.
Well, Mike was talking.
You got the Apple card right on the show. Like, we were prepping. Like, he applied for the Apple card to make sure that was all going to work. He was going. Same thing happened with the iPhone. Like, I just learned for Jim, let him have his first, beer during the show. About halfway through, start mentioning we should buy something, and in the post show, we might actually buy it. It's been a great process. You got the iPhone 12 that way. Almost got a Mac that way. You did wait, which I was happy because I would have felt really guilty if that would have been a spur of the moment purchase.
It's the look on your face when I was about to buy it.
I was scared.
There was like,
it's not a small purchase.
No,
yeah, but it's not huge. Like, it's not huge like Mac used to be either. It's not like I was dropping $3,500 or $5,000 on a computer. That would be huge. And they're $1,000, but I spread that out. It's an interest free for, $100 a month for, for 12 months. That's not terrible.
Well, you've got a good business case to make for it too.
I do.
Right. And I mean, podcasters, video producers, YouTubers, there's a great case to be made for using a Mac for that.
Yeah. Well, let me give an example of how helpful it's been already. So last week's show was an hour and 25 minutes edited. I ran it because I wanted to test it. Like, okay, is this really is this saving me anything? So I ran it on the old studio PC. It's a Core i7 4770. It's, I think that makes it a fourth generation, somewhere in that. It's not too old, but it's not new either. 16 gig of RAM on that box. And it would take me about 13 minutes to run that hour 25 video, to render that down to 720 so I could post it to YouTube. Same thing on the Mac Mini, 8 minutes. Okay, so 12 minutes to 8 minutes. I do a lot of that video processing. Much smaller box, much more power efficient in the process. Like, so there's some real added benefits to it from that perspective. So that was just the audio, of course, not quite the dramatic change in audio processing. Mm-hmm. Just because it was pretty fast, to rip an MP3 in my case, I'm doing lossless on those video files, but they're still really small compared to a 1080p or a
4K or
yeah. I would imagine the larger those files get, so like on a 4K, the more savings you would see on it.
Right. 100%. If you're rendering 4K, that's where you're really going to shine. I noticed that going from, my Mac laptop, which has good power, even to my gaming rig, which is like really overpowered, right? With the 4K editing, it on the computer, even just scrubbing through the file, you'll notice as you're in the editing process, the computer kind of choked, and my game PC, I can just scroll right through. It's got the beefy GPU, things like that to help. So I think that really would shine if you started editing in higher quality.
Yeah, it works great now, and it's been awesome for that. Aaron, what do you have what are you using for a PC or Mac perspective?
I have a MacBook Pro laptop, and it's been great for me. Every now and then I'll get stuck. I'll hit the wall kind of on memory for it, so I'll have to clean up kind of old files. And especially for me, like I have hours and hours of video files on my computer, which I realize is not for most normal people. So I have to kind of go in and dig out, what I've downloaded and accidentally kind of stored away and clean that out. But it's been really good for me. It's very reliable. I love it. It's easy to use. It's fast. I did have a problem right before Christmas, though, where I thought one of my keys was stuck. And I took it into a Mac authorized dealer and just said, can you just while I'm waiting, you could maybe swap out the key for me. That'd be great. And he takes it in the back and he comes back out and the computer's wrapped in bubble wrap. And I was like, what are you doing? And he said, you need to take this right now to a Mac store. The battery is expanding and it's technically explosive.
Oh.
And I was like, are you kidding me? You're handing me, he's handing me this ginger little laptop thing and saying basically it could explode.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had to, in the end, I had to send it off to Mac, which also seems weird. You're going to send something that was technically explosive in the post, in the mail. But anyway, Apple was lightning fast. Oh, that's a good pun. That's a good Apple pun. But they got me my laptop back in about 4 or 5 days, I would say.
Wow.
So battery replaced, back in and out, 4 or 5 days, and just $700 US. So.
Oh, ouch!
Yes,
no kidding.
Was past its warranty, but good as new now. So,
any thoughts on upgrading now that you got this, and you're like, any thoughts of upgrading to the new M1 gear?
I did think of that, and I thought, it's funny where your relativity gets to. It's spend $700-800 on a new battery, or spend $2,000 on a desktop version, or $3,000 and get all the power and then I was just make the smart decision, and then don't decide when you're under the gun. So I got my trusty laptop back, and I'm still happy with it.
What year is
I might upgrade one day, but
is it what year is it?
Let's see. I can tell you it is a 2017.
Okay, so it's an Intel based. Yeah. Well,
yes,
they've got some trade-in programs. I mean, that's some of those things too that I think Apple does really well. Sometimes you have the ability to trade them in, and I mean the purchasing experience is just dynamite. I mean, I could have had somebody, I'd have voucher to. Somebody would have called me and helped me do whatever. There's all
nice
things you can pick. Do you want help with apps? Do you want help with setup? Do you want help with music? Do you want help with and you could get this free call from them. I don't know how good it is. I didn't take it, but it was that I should have, but I was so anxious to get this thing set up. It did have the Mini did have a problem. It's kind of funny as we think about the Mac community, and Aaron, you can probably validate this because you've been around the Mac community a long time. So I was having trouble. It was when it was going to sleep, only one monitor would come back. So I have one connected via HDMI and one connected through the Thunderbolt 4 port in there through a DVI adapter. And they're both DVI monitors. They're a little bit older, but they're great monitors. I just wanted to use them, right? So the HDMI would come back on, but the one connected through the Thunderbolt 4 port would not. And
that's so weird.
Yeah, you do some things and switch some stuff around. So I go on the Mac Rumors website, in the forums. I look for monitor won't come back on. Apparently, this is a gigantic problem that's been happening since Thanksgiving, since these things were shifted. And listen, if you ever want a forum of just whiners and complainers, Oh my God, Mike, how did you live in this? How did you?
Okay, that's like every forum for every product ever. Okay, I don't think that's strictly Mac, but to
It
be
was bad.
fair,
Mike. It was bad. They were like, I'm taking this thing. Like they just gotten it. One of them was like, I just got it today. It's doing it to me. I'm taking it back. And it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, let's do a little work before you just take it back. But it was crazy in those forums, Mike.
yeah, I think those historic Mac people, like we are used to, kind of like the polish, right? The thing is it just works, right? That's always been Mac's thing. And then in the past few years, that hasn't been the case. And I think everyone's just kind of getting a little fed up with some of these little imperfections that are seeming to happen more and more and more. Like this, right? And then obviously this has been happening since November. Why hasn't it been fixed yet, kind of thing, right? So I think there's a good basis to complain there. If I just dropped $1,000 on a new computer, I would expect both monitors to work.
Seems like seems reasonable.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Tons of complaining going on, and one guy pops in and goes, "Hey, if you change the setting, it fixes it." And then more complaining, and so then
because it only works for some people, probably, right?
Well, it's funny. So I tried his thing, and it actually did work. And
nice.
So the deal was, you have this idea of spaces. So monitor spaces. So each monitor has the ability to have 4 different spaces on it.
Right.
Well, when you split them on the Mini, you can have 4 on one and 4 on the other for a total of 8. Or you can say spaces aren't allowed. Just give me 4, and it really does the Windows idea then of it's all one big space. So you get 4 across the 2 monitors. So apparently there's some software problems with that in the spaces and it waking up that other space. So it's like, I know how to wake up this space. The HDMI space is fine, but the Thunderbolt space is not fine. So when you combine them, I combined them and it fixed it. Well, then I started reading farther and they're like, oh yeah, somebody said, well, then 2 weeks later, he goes, they're still complaining. 2 weeks later, same guy. Hey guys, did you see I posted a fix for this? More complaining.
It's a hobby at that point.
Nobody said thanks. Like,
right.
Said, oh yeah, thanks. Like, so anyways, they have a 0.2 release that came out that fixed it for both spaces. So it's by now it's fixed, but a lot of these things are going on. I think with the M1, with both the MacBook and the Mini, it's new, right? It's new silicon, it's new parts, it's new software, it's all that new stuff. So, we asked you last week if you were listening to give us a call or leave a message. If you head over to homegadgetgeeks.com and go to the right-hand corner in the bottom, there's a little microphone, and we'd love to hear from you and your suggestions. I think I asked the question of, what should I know about this Mac? What should I do? What should I have? Brian sent us in a note. Apologize for the audio quality. There was something kind of wonky with Podpage when he recorded it, but here's Brian, and he's got an idea for us. Maybe. This always works when I test it. One second. This always works before the show. And then you go to do it. I feel like I'm Bill Gates at CES.
Brian, and I just have a quick tip for new Mac users. Built into the Mac operating system is a rather powerful screenshot system. You can always do Command-Shift-3 for a standard screenshot, Command-Shift-4 to draw what you need. But my favorite is Command-Shift-5, which brings up a ton of options, including capturing video, delayed capture, etc.
All right.
I did not know about Command-Shift-5.
Me neither.
I use 3 and 4 all the time. Command-Shift-5.
Wow.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try that one.
And
I'm gonna wake up I have my Mac right here. I'm actually gonna just see what kind of pops up. That's really, really cool.
What does 5 do again?
It gives you more options, apparently.
Okay.
Options including video capture.
Oh, look at that! All down below, so you can click your options. Very cool.
You do, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. So often I actually have a hack set up to record video on my MacBook with, oh gosh, what is it called? I can't remember the name of the program. But yeah, I have to hack it. So that could be a huge game changer for me. How did I not know this?
Same here. Record entire screen and then that is amazing.
Well, you guys mess with it because I know you're going to want to mess with it right now. Let me just say this. One other thing from the Mac side of things before we get to Aaron. Aaron, thanks for being so patient with us as we do all this chat.
Of course, I'm happy to be here and happy to listen. I learn something new all the time.
There you go. So Synergy. So I've been, I'm a mouse without borders user on Windows, which means I can connect multiple PCs to multiple monitors and have one keyboard and mouse, right? KVM solution. So was going to use Synergy, which has been an open source, but has recently, I think, come into some company now owns that, and you pay for it. It's $30, so it's not terrible, but it's now a paid application. And so I installed it, and I just have not been able to get it to work. I mean, it was flaky both on Windows and on Mac, and it would on the Mac every time I'd reboot, it would just like forget it was even there, and I have to reset it up again. And it worked on one PC and not another, and I was super frustrated. But then I went out and checked the forums, and it's got a lot of problems, and so they have some fixes coming up on that. So I was kind of deciding like, oh, do I just ditch this thing? Do I ask for my money back? And I was kind of like, no. I think I'll wait and see. We got some point releases coming up. I got it kind of working for now. So I got mouse without borders on the Windows boxes. And then I've got another keyboard and mouse for the Mac. And I'll make it work in the interim because I'm that kind of guy. But yeah, that didn't work out as great as I'd hoped. So I have a little bit of kind of rigged to get it done. Aaron, out at your site, Tech Gadgets Canada, we want to remind everybody, by the way, you should be heading out there and having that bookmarked or somewhere where you could. Did you have a small
make it your homepage? Then I get a click every day.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Tech Gadgets Canada, just like it sounds.com. You just ordered the AirPods Max to review. You also just published like the something on your AirPods Pro 1 year review on that as well. So now, okay, these things aren't cheap, right? I mean, what are you, well, and you live,
what am I doing?
You live in Canada, so like 8 times more expensive than they are here in the US. What are you doing here? What are you doing?
Yes. They are crazy expensive. But this is sort of, this is something I like to do for folks. I know this is a huge commitment for people to buy new headphones, especially ones that cost as much as AirPods Pro used to and AirPods Max do currently. So in some cases, I like to take the hit and try them out for folks so that, if they are worth the money, you can make an informed decision to save up and buy them. And if they're not, you should know that too. So I just wrapped the 1 year review, like Jim said, of the AirPods Pro, and I am really happy with them. They are great headphones. They sound great, most importantly of all. In the Apple ecosystem, which is, probably 80% of the use case for these, they are super easy to use. They are seamless. They connect to your last device all by themselves. I love the new fit and the new design because I previously hated with a passion the original AirPods. Hated them. So I was really excited to try the new design. And I think they are a lot better. They've also got noise canceling. They've also got transparency mode. So I think they're a much better product right now. And if you're an Apple user and you're looking for that headphone experience that, as Mike just said, just works, I think the AirPods Pro are actually really great for that. So I do recommend them. Is
that what you're using right now with us?
That is what I'm using right now. Oh, wait, there you go. For those who are watching on the video stream, you can see them.
Is that what you're using for your mic too?
Yes.
Does it sound okay? Yeah, I am shocked. I would never would have guessed you were using the AirPods as the actual microphone. They sound really good.
Yeah. The quality has been outstanding. I'm really impressed with it.
Yeah, you don't get the roomy noise. You don't get the one hang up I've had is at work when we podcast. It's an hour and a half or 2 hours where they have them in their ear. What kind of battery life are you seeing? Because it never fails. They didn't charge them. And then we get on the podcast and we get halfway through it and you see them fumbling because it must give you some kind of warning that they're going dead.
But, I did plug them in earlier today, Jim, but to that question, I sure hope they don't die. No, looks like I've got a full battery on them, but I think it's about 4 or 5 hours out of the buds. And then I think there's 20 hours or so in the case. And I'd say it's pretty close to that, but I mean, I am not often, unless I'm editing video, I'm not often wearing them for super long durations. So they do have a chance to fully recharge on me, which is nice. And they seem to recharge fairly quickly. Yeah.
So why the Max then? These are great. Why the Max? Why'd you buy them?
Why the Max? Well,
these are the Pro.
Honestly,
yeah, you have the Pro, but you're going to buy the Max, right?
The Max,
okay, got it.
The AirPods Max. Yeah. Not MAC, MAX.
Yeah, MAX. Sorry.
Right.
Apple
MAX.
and their naming scheme. I can't even keep them straight.
I know. But everybody laughed at iPad, and now it's just a thing you say. So
Right.
So why the Max? Honestly, I am desperate to know if paying, I think they're about almost $800 Canadian, if they're worth it. I have a really hard time, and I'm going to say this out of the gate, and if this makes me biased before my review, so be it. But Apple's going to have to win me over with these because they're hella expensive and they're over-ear headphones, so they're bigger, they're a little more intrusive. They're a little more obvious when you wear them. I mean, the great thing about the AirPods Pro is that, half the time, if you don't want somebody to know you're wearing them, they might not know. Whereas with the bigger headphones, everybody can see them, which I guess is probably part of the point of the AirPods Max. They're a bit of a status symbol, I guess. So I just have to know if they're worth it. If all of this additional technology, they've got the spatial audio. But pro tip, I will tell those of you out there who are considering these headphones right now, if you already have the AirPods Pro earbuds, the latest firmware update on the AirPods Pro earbuds give you spatial audio, which is the huge feature that Apple is touting with the AirPods Max. And spatial audio, anybody can stop me if they've already heard this spiel, but spatial audio basically gives you sort of a wider and deeper sound stage and more realistic sound in 3D space, if that makes sense. Whereas sort of stereo audio essentially feels like it's, beaming into either side of your head from either side of your head. So it's supposed to give you a more realistic experience. And spatial audio will also do something where if you're watching it from a phone or an iPad in front of you and you turn your head or you move around, it will actually anchor the audio to the device digitally. So it sounds more like things are coming from the spot in space where they should be coming from. So there's some really cool features. Like I said, you can get the spatial audio on the AirPods Max right now, and it is really cool. So is it going to be like $500 more cool on the AirPods Max with an X? I'm not sure, but I will report back.
I'm excited to hear about those because I thought the same thing. And, I think sometimes a lot of people are quick to get on Apple for their prices, especially for their pro line of computers, right? And everything. But these are for, professionals and the status symbol who just want to have them, right? I don't think they're they're not intended for everyone. There are high-end audio, headphones you can buy. And I think this is just part of that system. But I really want to know the sound quality, the spatial audio. But the interesting part to me, it seems like there were some spaces where they knocked it out of the park, and then some the case for them is kind of surprising, and how they fold. I'll be interested for that part of your review on usability in day-to-day life, because that case just seems so non-functional, but you need the case because that's the only way they go to sleep, right? You have to put them back in that case so they go to sleep and not on. It looks non-protective. It just looks wonky and so right here, so you're almost using your headband as a handle.
It's an awkward purse.
Yes.
And what
that takes up a lot of space. Especially for guys.
But a lot of guys, don't want to look like they're carrying a purse.
Well, the fact that they're open on the bottom, if I drop that, is it going to scratch those on the bottom? It's all the things were very odd on the case, whereas I bet they're going to sound phenomenal. A lot of really good things. There's just I'm that's surprising. So maybe third-party cases or, an upgrade to the case at some point. But I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Well, I just wish they folded a lot of the over-ear headphones. I think it's the Jabras and the JVCs that I've tried actually kind of fold in on themselves. So they are a lot more compact without having that sort of awkward, bulky case over top of it. But these are all the questions I need to answer.
And do we know, are they going to have transparency mode?
They're supposed to, I think, yes.
Because that is my all-time favorite game changer feature of the AirPod Pros, because you don't get that on an airplane feeling in your ears because I have these other earbuds that I use actually upstairs for my NVIDIA Shield. And every time I put them in, I feel like you have to like pop your ears because they wedge and they do create a nice little sound barrier. And I don't hear anything else, but man, they don't have like when I need to wear them on for an everyday basis, I couldn't do it. I pretty much live in transparency mode. I thought I would use more noise canceling. I love transparency. When you're driving, you feel safer. When you're out and about, when you're wearing them around the home, I love transparency mode. It works really well.
So
Jim, do you have headphones with transparency mode?
I don't. Well,
No?
these do, but they're not like they're just
It's not active. It's passive, right?
Passive. It's the way the earpieces are built. They allow ambient sound to come in, right? They were designed
like an open design, a more open design.
They just it just allows sound to come in. So they were designed by athletes who were spending a lot of time working out outside and didn't want to get hit by a car. So
are these the Bose? Are you wearing the Bose?
No, these are earbuds. YURBUDS.
Okay.
Earbuds. Yeah. Been around a long time, 10 years or so. A group of athletes got together, a couple guys got together and like, we need better because the point you're making, Mike, you put those in and they block your ear canal.
Yeah.
And that's at the time, 10 years ago, that's every headphone, every earbud you had did that, right? And like, no, so they created a cup. The design of what goes in your ear allows that ambient sound to come in. It's like thin membrane where that sound can come in. It's not perfect, but it works.
Oh, very interesting.
So, but to Mike's point, yeah, sometimes the Bose have it, but you were mentioning real quick. So folks who are watching on the video, and I'll try to explain this. Dave McCabe gave me some feedback like, hey, be a little more descriptive for us audio listeners, right? So to Mike's point, those on the headphones, and I have a pair of Jabra here. I think these are 40s. They turn in and go flat, right?
Right.
So in this case, they actually have a round case that goes around this that you put them in to protect them, right? On the new Mac or on the new Macs, AirPod Max, right? Is that what they're calling them?
Max with an X.
AirPods Max with an X. It's got almost a case that goes around just the ear covers,
Cuffs, yeah,
the cans, and then it's got like a snap that goes up over the top that kind of holds it all together in one piece, right? Where the Bose units, those are familiar with Bose. Those kind of roll up like a snake in the case, right? They get really small in there, and you can
they curl in on themselves almost, and then you can just zip them into a much smaller space. Yeah,
it's a really great design. So I have it in a hard shell case that is not going to get crushed.
And that's even better because I have the old Quiet Comfort 15s, I think, before they did they still fold flat, but so the case is a little bit bigger, but still hard shell case, right? Like when I was traveling, I could throw that thing around and not worry about it, and I was using them all the time. That's kind of more what I expected on the Apple side, and maybe an opportunity to use a case that would have protected them more and charged them. I don't know. So and that part just baffled me. There's always some of those things I'm just like, interesting. It's almost like they just got done and like, shoot, we forgot the case, but we're going to try and launch these things. They kind of rushed it and didn't really think it all the way through.
$550 for those.
Yeah.
So in the iPod or the AirPod Pros. Oh man, all these are hard to keep track of. I still don't know most of the Mac line from computers. Like I don't know the difference between a Mac, I don't know any of them.
MacBook Air and MacBook Pro.
Yes, like I don't know that. And is there a Mac? Is there an iPad Pro? There's an iPad and an iPad.
There's an iPad, an iPad Pro, and an iPad Mini,
an iPad Air,
and an iPad Air.
Yep.
Yeah, like I don't get any of those things. But the AirPods Pro are like 180 US. So a significant difference between.
Oh, the AirPod Pros are 250.
Are they? Oh,
yeah.
I was just on Amazon, and I saw a pair for.
They have been going on sale. I think it's because they're trying to.
Oh, have they?
Yeah. Push people maybe to the Max with an X.
$249, $179. Wow.
So if we're online shopping here, folks, now's the time.
No kidding.
maybe I'll buy. Can you let me? So I have.
I bet they have. Sorry. I bet they have stock of the non Qi charging case versions, which isn't a big deal. I've never charged my AirPod Pros with Qi. Maybe it's nice. I've never tried it, but that was the difference. They upgraded the case, so maybe they're getting rid of the old supply of the old cases. I don't know. Maybe not.
The wired version, the charging case that's wired, and just the standard AirPods are 120 right now on Amazon.
Yeah,
so, down from 100
which I still think are a great pair of headphones for 120.
I have, so you've got the Pros. I've got a partner who at night snores a little bit. Can you sleep in those things? And do they? No, dang it. Okay.
I can't sleep in headphones, period. I've tried a couple years ago. I tried a pair of headphones called sleep phones, which is essentially flat little drivers in a headband.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually work quite well. They will not block out a lot of the noise, but mask a lot of the noise, I guess, if you've got something running on them. But I have tried to sleep in headphones because my husband also can be a snorer from time to time, and they just, any in-ears hurt my ears. But I did pick up also, which are on their way to me, the Bose open earbuds, which have this new design. They're not open buds per se. They sort of perch over the top of your ear and don't get anywhere near your ear concha or your ear canal. So I'm really curious about those because I could, in theory, maybe, lay on the side of my head without having them pressing into my ear in the same way. So I'm going to try those out for sleeping and for other uses, obviously for a review, but
I'll have to watch. Mike?
Yeah, I have. It's funny you said falling asleep. So like I was mentioning, so I use MPOW, MPOW. I have the M30s, great set of headphones for $40, Bluetooth. And I actually have fallen asleep in those. Those are the ones I have upstairs that when I'm laying in bed, they connect to the NVIDIA Shield so I can listen to TV while Hannah sleeps. And I have, because they're a lot flatter. And I have fallen asleep in those before and a little uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to do it on a nightly basis, but on a night like, if she was going to town and you really, needed to block out some noise, they could work.
Brian says in chat, although not as bad as the Xbox naming scheme.
Oh, no kidding. Yes, which is the worst lately. I still can't keep it straight. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, Joe says their iPhone naming schemes got really wonky there for a while. So I think it's hard. No matter what you do, people are gonna complain about it. Bose did an in-ear sound sleeping device like 2 years ago. That came on the market with a big splash, made it for a couple months, and I don't think they worked because they've disappeared for the most part.
Yeah, my husband was looking for those and he couldn't find them. He was looking for a pair for himself as well.
Yeah, well, I think we have a trip coming up, and so I'm like, I'm gonna have to, now I can just go to another location in the house and but it's in a hotel room. It's not like I could knock on the door, hey,
meet your neighbor.
But I'd be interested in hearing how those work for you when you get them as well. Aaron, you are, well, let me, before we transition, should I be an owner of, like, at $180, should I own a pair of AirPod Pros? I mean,
I think so. Yeah. Now, I will say, for me personally, it's so funny that Erin said she didn't like the fit of the originals, but loves the Pro. My wife, same exact way. Hates the old versions because I think we have 3 or 4 pairs of these now around the house because now I got some for Hannah. I have the Pros. I also have the originals. I am the opposite. The Pros do not stay in my ear. The originals were perfect. I can wear the originals all day, these Pros. So for me, I actually had to go out and get third-party tips for them, which are great. You can get them on Amazon, and the more foamy instead of the plasticky. And they did stay in a little bit better when I did that. So for me, the fit-wise, I liked the original, but I think I am in the minority here. I think everyone loves the Pro fit a lot more. But to Aaron's point, they just work. Now, I will say, I don't know what it is about Microsoft Teams. Teams hates every Bluetooth headset I have ever tried to use with it. It cuts out. It doesn't work. So if you're trying to use it on Windows, especially, I know the AirPods, they do work, but a lot of times the headset feature, if you're trying to use them for like calls, it's not the best. So I actually don't use mine at work because I'm on a Windows computer. But everywhere else, I have them in all the time, and my wife does as well. So I mean, I think they're kind of a staple. They're nice.
Aaron,
Also on the Apple Card, it's only like I think like $49 for
I
a
shredded
He-Man.
the card, dude. I couldn't. No, it's not true. It's sitting right behind me.
You can't shred that thing. It's like titanium. It's heavy. You could kill someone with that thing.
No, I grabbed the wrong card. Aaron, what's your use case on the for your AirPods? What do you use it mostly for?
A lot of video and Zoom calling, conference calls. I will plug them in because our space in our house right now is kind of open. My husband and I are sort of sharing a space. So if I need to do video editing, I will put them in to edit videos. What else? I would say right now it's mainly conference calls and video editing, but if I want to go for a walk and listen to an audiobook, I mean, they're in, that kind of stuff. They're just easy.
Brian says maybe the after show becomes Jim buys Apple stuff show again. So it's very possible. It always seems to happen towards the end of the show. I don't think it would be as dramatic if I bought those tonight after the show. I did find the card, Mike. So the fancy. This is
nice.
the fancy card that it's a nice presentation. They do a nice job on that. Well, I'll have to consider it. I have those cheap $30, $40 knockoffs that the batteries, I've had them for a couple of years now. The batteries last about 10 minutes. At this point, they don't pair very well and they don't sound very good. I mean, they sound fine when I'm listening to audio. It sounds great. I think they have the original design. So it's a hard shell, no soft tip. You just put it in your ear and it sits there. And I think that was the big complaint about the early AirPods, right? They just fall out because there was nothing to hold them.
Yeah. They're just kind of hanging in your ear. And that's what I didn't like about them.
I have weird shaped ears. I know it. Something about them. I loved those things.
So maybe it's time. It is also time. The whole planet, no, I shouldn't say that. Most of North America is doing renovations. And Aaron, you have also been bitten by the it wasn't enough to renovate a van. You had to. You're doing some renovation.
You'd think I would have finished that first before we started the home renovation, but no still a few things to do in the van. It's too cold.
Yeah. What do you got going on at home there?
Well, we finally decided that our kitchen, where we spend, most of our lives, probably like everyone out there who's listening, was just too small. And I'm not exaggerating. We have about probably 4 feet, maybe 3 feet of counter space that's sort of like usable workspace in our kitchen. So we finally, we've been talking for years and years about we should renovate. We should, knock down a wall between the living room and the kitchen and make the kitchen more functional and make it more our style. And, like a lot of people, after spending 8 or 9 months in your space and having a chance to look at it every single day, all day long, and then nitpick it, we finally decided it was time to pull the plug on a renovation. So, all the things we haven't been spending money on, like dinners out and travel and other fun stuff like that, we decided to put into a budget for a renovation. So we're doing our kitchen. We have a spare bedroom that never gets used. So we're converting that spare bedroom into an ensuite bathroom, walk-in closet, and then creating sort of a bigger, I think we call them principal bedroom suite now, formerly known as the master bedroom. So basically most of our main floor is completely torn apart.
Oh, that sounds fun. That's not disruptive at all.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. You got some faucet options. It sounds like you're going to replace your kitchen faucet. And we did that recently as well, but we didn't go quite all the way. Like it's not smart. You tap on it and it stops. It's lighted. When I shouldn't say lighted, it's lit. There's a little indicator on the bottom that it's the beer's kicking in that will tell you blue or red, right? But are you really going to go with one that you can talk to?
I'm going full tech on the faucet. So like you, I went it was a semi-smart faucet. So it's got, if you get close enough to it, it'll turn on and that kind of stuff. But I saw this faucet 2 years ago at the Consumer Electronics Show, CES. So the U by Moen smart faucet is what it's called. And what it will do is it's got, the manual tap operation. It's got the motion detection, that kind of stuff. But it also does things once you connect to a smart digital assistant like Alexa. Oops, I said her name. Sorry, friends out there.
It's all right.
Lady A.
Lady A.
And Google. You can ask your faucet for things like fill the baby bottle, do the dog water dish, give me 1 cup of water at 101 degrees Celsius. Fahrenheit. Anyway.
Yeah.
So you can get really precise with what you want out of this tap, and it will just deliver that. So you can hold your cup underneath the tap and say, dispense 1 cup of water, and it will just come on, dispense the cup, and then shut right off. So I saw a demo of this at CES, like I said, and I was just blown away by how useful this could be for a lot of things. Because I'm one of those people that, if I'm filling the watering can to water the plants, I get out 2 watering cans and I start filling the 1 watering can, and then I take it away, and then I put the other watering can under it, and then I go water the other plants while the other one fills up. And then I try and get back before it starts to spill over. I mean, it's silly. So I just thought, wouldn't it be great if you could just get exactly the water you want? You're not wasting it. If you want hot water, warm water, cold water, this faucet is smart enough to figure it out. So I'm going to put one of those in my kitchen. I am going to be able to talk to my kitchen faucet, and I can't wait.
Well, and that makes total sense, because I'm already yelling at a lady, hey, how many ounces are in a cup when I'm measuring water and all that stuff anyway? So I'm already saying something. I might as well just say it and have the faucet dispense it. That's amazing. When you first said that you can talk to your faucet, I wasn't thinking about all those applications. I'm just saying turn on, turn off. But once you add in temperature, measurement, that is amazing. I didn't even know a product like that existed.
Yeah, it's been out for, I guess, just over 2 years now.
Oh.
And I keep hemming and hawing about it. And I mean, the kitchen renovation really just pushed us into doing that. We're replacing a lot of older fixtures and older appliances in our house. And I just thought, you know what? It's got to be smart. And honestly, I want to share this review with folks. I want to tell people if it's worth it or not. So I'm going to be the guinea pig. I'm going to find out if it's useful. I really hope that it is. I think it will be, but I'm really excited to find out firsthand.
We paid $350, I think, for the semi-smart one. These here US they start at like $675 and they go to like $1,000. So, pretty
depending on your finishes.
Yeah. But Sarah has complained to me a couple times, like, it doesn't matter that you can touch the thing and it turns on and off, you set the water temperature. She gets really frustrated that it gets, no matter what she does, it seems like it's either too hot or too cold when she's washing her hands. And there isn't a great way to set that so it's perfect every time.
So that yeah.
This would do it. Like this.
Yeah.
This.
Well, and to that point, you can create these commands with your digital assistant.
Yeah.
So you can say, "Hey, lady, set me up for hand washing," and the water would come on, for a preset time at a preset temperature. And then you can just wash your hands. And then in theory, if you've timed it right and what time you've asked her for, by the time you're done, she just shuts off.
Yeah.
Talk about being great for kids
like
too.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, because I our kids now are already very used to using A-Lady. They use her for timers and they know that's how we make them share because they want the same exact toy. And so now they're setting their own timers. So like, A-Lady, set a 3-minute timer. But my youngest doesn't understand time, so he'll say like, A-Lady, set a 10-minute timer for when his brother has it, not understanding that it should have been 3. It's great, but. Point being, I have them go wash their hands all the time, and they're all the time making it way too hot. Oh, Dad, it's hot, right? And they're standing there for 2 seconds instead of, actually washing their hands. Like, I would love that.
Shoot.
Yeah, I'm really
Jim says, so here's the post-show purchase that Jim's going to be making.
This is exactly what she wants, though. This is exactly. Do you think Moen has a trade-in program, or they'd give me like $75 for my? I forget what the brand was that we bought. It wasn't terribly hard.
I wonder.
It's It's got bad.
We got to wait for the review though. I want to, we got to see if it's actually worth its weight.
I'm going to watch this. I'm going to watch this review, and it may, we may get to a point where these start to come down in price. I think Moen's probably maybe one of the first out with it, but good opportunity. We go through faucets. It's not like one of those things with computers where you can be like, okay, I'm going to buy a new computer and then I'm going to move this one down to this, and I'm going to make an Unraid server out of that. And I'm going to add some things. You've got, for most people, you have one kitchen faucet. So it's not like I could justify
You can't swap it into the bathroom. I mean, maybe into your laundry room sink, but yeah, you're right.
Maybe I should set up a little kitchenette down here.
There you go.
Right? That'd be a way to kind of justify it.
Or in your camper van.
Oh, there you go. Hey, are you going to do any lighting, any kind of smart lighting then in this? What are you thinking?
Ermagerd, smart lighting is what I live for. We've talked about it probably a lot, but yes, absolutely. I am getting a whole set of lighting for the house that is going to be smart and connected. So we went with a set of lights they're made by a company called Lightline. And the system we chose was they're called the Sky pot lights or down lights, depending on where you are, and something called the on-cloud controllers. So how this works is you install these new pot lights, and they're smart. They're what's called smart and tunable. So tunable essentially means that you can adjust the color temperature of them. So if you like that warmer, yellower, oranger light, you can adjust it. If you like that brighter, whiter work light, you can adjust that. So the great thing about these is you control them with the app, so you can adjust that tunable color temperature. They also come with full color spectrum. So I love smart lighting. I love the ability to play with all the different colors for your moods, for your weather, for creating scenes and stuff. So these lights are built in now, and they're going to do it all. You don't have to rely anymore, or I don't have to rely anymore on smart light bulbs in fixtures here and there. We're going to have these throughout the house. So they work with the app. And then the other genius thing that kind of made us really want to choose these lights is they come with what's called the on-cloud room controller, which in plain English for the rest of us it's a light switch, but it's a smart Wi-Fi connected light switch. So it means you can control the lights. You can have full control over the lights, including the color temperature, including adjusting your scenes on, off, dimming, all that stuff on the light switch. And it will line up with what you're doing on the app. So one of the problems with smart lighting has always been, it's great when you do it on the app, but if somebody hits the wall switch, everything's gone, right? You got to start over. With these lights, it's designed to be in sync. So whatever you're doing on the wall switch isn't going to affect the scenes that you've set up, and vice versa. So you can kind of pick up where you left off. So I'm super, super, super excited about that. Our electrician put those in on the weekend, and he's like, yeah, these are kind of cool.
Nice.
So we're going to be able to completely adjust the temperature of light for, a nice warmer light for dining, a brighter, whiter light for the kitchen when you're cooking, nice light for the office. I'm just super excited about having all these lights, these smart tunable LED lights from Lightline in my house.
It is amazing. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it is amazing how much temperature makes a difference. So in our kitchen, we have just, the regular light bulbs, and I didn't realize, I just went to the store and grabbed light bulbs, and also I put them in, and we're like, whoa, because we're used to the warm. And this was like white, and it was off. It's weird how much it kind of changes. And we used them for a while, right? Because I was like, well, we just bought 9 of them, and I don't really have a place I can put 9 of those. And then it eventually, though, was like, that is not the mood we want in our kitchen. It was just weird. It was way too much in the morning, especially. But there were times where it wasn't too bad. And when it's really bright out, it kind of helps. But then if it's dark at all, that warm. So man, being able to control that around the house has to be amazing. So how many total fixtures did you guys put in?
We've got 30, and I think we're going to get pretty close to that in sort of all the rooms and all the zones. A couple of other reasons we chose this company is that they're damp rated, so we can actually put them in our shower in the bathroom and not have to worry about them. So we've had those added in as well. And I just forgot the other great reason I was going to add these lights. My mind has gone blank.
Do you find it overwhelming for all the planning on, scenes and temperature and direction and does it get a little overwhelming? I know when I go into big projects like that, I think, oh, this is gonna be so great, and then you start digging into the details, and you're like, oh my god, this is way more
Do you mean
complicated.
on the reno as a whole, or with
No,
respect to the
just
lighting?
on the lighting. As you think about where you're putting them, what temperatures do you want? You're gonna have to set all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then
I actually this was what I was going to say about these is when we were shopping for pot lights, in a lot of cases we had to choose if we wanted that harsher white light or the softer yellow light, and it was kind of an either or prospect. So being able to choose the color temperature you want, and not just something that you're going to set and then have to go back and switch, but that you can adjust constantly. I find a lot of comfort in that because, I'm not quite sure how I might be using my new kitchen. We're going to have some workspace in there and a bar space. So, if I want to do a podcast from there, or I want to shoot a video from there, and I want a bit of, brighter light, more TV style studio lights, I love the fact that I can adjust that. So, and I think these are kind of, you'll want to set up the scenes or the rooms and kind of what your options are and timers and things like that. And for me, that's fun for me. And I think it's the kind of thing you sort of maybe do at the beginning, and then you probably don't touch it a whole lot after that. So I think some people might feel like they're intimidated by like, oh my God, I've got to set up 30 lights and, 4 or 5 rooms, and it's going to be really terrible. But companies are making these really easy now, and they're super user friendly. And this company in particular uses the Wiz app, which is another smart lighting company out there. So they've sort of, I was going to say lifted, but I assume they've licensed this technology with the app and stuff. So they're really trying to make it easy and consumer friendly so that anybody can do it. 10 years ago, programming your lights would not have been something I would either have taken on myself or advised anyone else to do. The fact that I can have my electrician do this setup, it is DIY if you're comfortable with installing your own fixtures, which I have done before, but I'm just, for this scope of project, I'm not doing it myself this time. So get the contractor to do it, and then just get the app set up and program it once and go. And I'm really looking forward to what I'm able to do with them. I will definitely have to report back.
okay, we'll have to hear how it goes. That's one of those things too. You say, I'll spend a bunch of time, I'll figure it out, and then it'll just work until it doesn't. Like the remote goes, or something goes out, and then you got to figure it all out again because you can't. It's been 2 years, and you're like, oh. How did this stuff work? I know I spent a ton of time thinking about this 2 years ago. I don't have a clue. And you almost spend a whole day just like refiguring out. Mike and I run into this all the time, and you do, I'm sure, as well. When you have different products from different manufacturers doing the same thing, and one goes out, and you're like, okay, crap, how did I connect to that one? What app did I use? Mike, I'm sure you've run into
100% all the time. Yeah. I've been trying to consolidate into Home Assistant, but still, like, at the same time, we talked about, this light up here is just easier to set that routine in the Hue app, right? But yeah, I have Wise and all of those different apps. Agreed.
LifeX. There's a lot of smart lighting out there, and I've been trying to consolidate for quite some time. But let's be honest, smart light bulbs are not cheap.
Right.
They're not inexpensive. And, for me, I've been able to experiment with a bunch of different sets and stuff. But, if you're going to commit to one lighting system, you want to know that it's going to work. And the one I've found actually is the best is Philips Hue in terms of just smart light bulbs that do exactly what they're supposed to, and you have very little worry or concern with them. I've really enjoyed the Philips Hue ecosystem.
It's just expensive. They're the most expensive smart lighting you can buy. They're ridiculous. That's the thing. You kind of you go to buy a bulb and it's like $19, and you're like, I could probably get a Govee for $7 or $4. And it's just one of those things. And Andrew makes a good point. He was talking in chat about can I, am I crazy? It just to use a switch? No. He says they use different color lights in different rooms, softer lights in the living room, brighter lights in the kitchen, and control them with ordinary light switches. Yeah, that works. Like if that works for you, awesome.
Well, I think there's then the stepping stones, right? Because I think I'm on like this middle ground because I decided the easiest way for me to go, I kind of went in phases, right? I was starting to put hue everywhere, and then again, it got really expensive. And the light switch getting turned off was a big hassle because my kids would do it, my in-laws would come over and they would do it. So for me, I ended up switching kind of course and going with all smart switches. And then I was like, I don't care. I can put any light up there. I can go get cheap LEDs. Doesn't matter. I control all my smart from here. But you lose out on warmth control, color control. So there are still spaces like back here behind me and upstairs in certain areas where I do use the hue light still in special spots. But other than that, Andrew makes a good point. Like I kind of committed to kind of a hybrid model, right? Where I have my brights where I want my brights, I have my warms where I want my warms, but I still get all the smart functionality from the TP-Link switches on the wall. And those can't be turned on and off. So I know my automations will always work because the switch is always on and the switch is what's controlling it. So I think there's kind of these stepping stones. And then you can go all out, and do the full install, which I'm excited to move into like my next home. I think like my next home, like I really want to start doing all these projects, and I'm just going to, go to Erin's website and just look through everything. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm just going to do everything she did, right? She's tested it, tried and true. And who knows, in 10 years, you'll probably have a lot cooler, all crazy stuff. Who knows? Lighting will be something, and you'll be on to, I don't know, what's the next big smart project after lighting? What do you do?
I don't know. Maybe
go ahead, Erin.
I was going to say maybe smart flooring where it changes the color of the flooring, some kind of optical illusion thing where
I like it.
Or smart wallpaper. Who knows?
You mentioned in your notes, you said lots of USB outlets for all your gadgets. I agree with you, but when will USB stop being like, say you put all these in and then you never change outlets. Nobody, no. I still have outlets from when they put outlets in this house in the 1950s, right? I mean,
from when they were almond colored, right?
Yeah, 2 wires. They've been painted over about 8,000 times, and except for me, I never painted them once. So, but you do something like that. I've thought about this. You put in these smart switches or whatever. They don't seem to have the lifespan that the old, trusty, reliable, regular things that we've used for 1,000 years, right? Do you ever worry about that? Like you're going to put in all these USB and then all of a sudden we do something, Apple says everything's
USB-C now, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I've thought about that. So the switches that we're going with are both AC and USB. So we've got a couple places where there's either 2 or 4 USBs and then 2 or 4 AC plugs so that we will have that versatility. If down the road we all move away from USB to USB-C or something we haven't dreamed up yet, I'm kind of confident we could swap them out. The only reason we didn't put these in sooner is our house is a bit of an older house. It's kind of vintage 1950 or so. So there's actually not enough space in the wall cavities for us to add those bigger, newer USB boxes. So we tried to add a few of those in the house previously just to have them, and they physically won't fit in the wall. So now that we're doing this renovation and we're going through with all this and everything's, ripped off and open and, we can make these changes, I feel like it's a good time to do that. Hopefully it's future-proof.
Yeah, I had a chance when we put the wine fridge in. I redid some wiring in that area, and I thought about it for a while. Like I even had that USB outlet in my hand, and it was $35, and I was like $7, and I was thinking, I've watched the advent of the brick change, and advent's not the right word. I've watched this idea of the brick change, the power brick for all these phones over all these years. And they all seem like they need, different things from time to time, right? They all come with them though. So in the end, I kind of like, I guess I'm agreeing with Andrew at this point in this particular case, like, nah, I'm just going to put in the regular outlets because they don't change. And I'll let the plug-in I'll let the things because that's not going to change. We're not going to change the way we do our power.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting away from AC.
Yeah. Or the plugs are going to change. They're always going to be the same in the United States, in Canada, in Europe. They're always that's not going to change. So that's kind of the direction I went. I had a chance to do that.
Yeah, there's a few spots where they make a lot of sense. Like we have those right on our countertop area. That's a very central spot in our house where we spend a lot of time when guests are over there. And both outlets are typically used by a lady and, something else. And having 2 additional USB ports there is awesome because guaranteed someone's over and they're like, hey, can I charge my phone real quick? I'm charging my phone. The boys are using the iPad at the counter. We just plug it right in. So there's been a few times where that's been extremely handy. But we only have one. That's like the one spot, but it's the one spot that it's extremely handy, right? So just knowing where you constantly plug stuff in, I think is kind of, it can be nice.
Mike, they have those.
We did have to give a lot of thought to that too when we were laying out our electrical plan. Is where will things get plugged in? Where do we typically use things now, and where do we need more space for plugging in? I think that's so important. Like our houses weren't made for all of the gadgets we have today and the things that need power and plugging in or constant charging or constant connections. So that's one of the other things we did in this renovation too, is we added a lot more physical outlets than we had before, because I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, that every outlet in my house has one of those like 4 or 5 adapter outlet things. Yes. And then there's, like 9 things plugged into it backwards and sideways, which is probably also not safe. Exactly. The Powlite, plug in 9 things into 2. But we all need this power. So I think it's a really good time now since we've got all our walls open and stuff, we're going to add more power where we can.
That's a really, by the way, that's a really bad, I found the worst looking one I could get to do that. But there are some ones that fit over that give you, in other words, maybe you don't need 9, but Mike, in your case, maybe you need just the 2 plus USB around the edge, right?
Yeah.
But
I like how this is built in, right? Like I don't need the extra stuff coming out. I like that it just looks like a regular outlet. They're just, you can, you couldn't even tell really unless you walk right up to it and see there's 2 USBs in between. It makes it a little bit easier. But the ones that I like are actually the ones that go flat for right behind your couch. It's like a flat adapter, and then it's like a cord down to the ground, or they have different stuff where you're not wedging those outlets into the wall right behind your couch, or behind my kids' room. The dresser is right up against like one of the only outlets in that room, and we have smashed a few lamp cords that they're not coming back.
Yeah, this is not one of those, but it's close. Where you're plugging it in, you got outlets on the side, right, to be able to your outlets here. I've got one where the outlets swivel, so they can go out front or they can go to the sides.
Yeah,
and you can kind of choose what you want on that. Mike, I think I would go with a retrofitted device that goes over the top of that plug. Try to make it look as good as possible. They're all going to stick out right at that point. But knowing I could, when those things go away, I can just pull that thing off and replace it with something different based on the need that I have for that outlet. I don't know. That just seems to me that just seems like it'd work better for me.
Yeah. The prices really come down though, because they're almost cheaper to do the in-outlet one. I think they're about $19 to get just the regular outlet. But yeah, just knowing what you use on that space, I think is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, I was at Menards, and their Menards is known for cheap stuff, but the electronic stuff they sell isn't always the cheapest.
Oh, never buy Lowe's. I don't like all those like smart outlet things at Lowe's or anywhere are insanely expensive. I always go and look, especially at the outlets. Like you're right. I think I was at Lowe's. I think that outlet was like $45. Yeah. Came home, Amazon $19. I'm like not just a little bit, like more than double. And I've always noticed that with pricing on smart stuff at kind of your big box stores here in the U.S.
Aaron, last question. You going to put smart blinds in as well for this? Are you looking at those?
I'm looking at smart blinds. I had, I guess it's like a retrofit kit for a smart blind about a year or 2 ago that I tried. And I really liked it because I had it paired up with sunrise and sunset. So when the sun started to set, the blinds would just start to come down. And then just as the sun was rising, they would come up all on their own. And it was so fun, like so great for privacy and just, is opening and closing my blinds really that taxing or that much of a hassle? No. But having a smart home where, you wake up and you go into the kitchen to get coffee and the blinds are, up to let the sunrise in and stuff. It's one of those nice things that can make your home more comfortable. So I am trying to find a good smart blind source that will integrate with a smart digital assistant where I can have all these things programmed into my house. The last thing I was kind of insistent we add if we were doing a bunch of plumbing, which we are, was a smart water sensor, a water monitor and leak sensor. So we've had something installed on our main water main line. Anyway, we've installed.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's a device called Phyn. It's spelled Phyn. And it's like a small flat brick of a device that gets cut into the line, and it'll detect leaks. It'll tell you about your water usage. You can use it as a water shutoff valve. It'll shut itself off if it detects leaks or, like a pipe bursting or something in your house. So I just thought that was super smart. We, previous to the pandemic, loved to travel. So, my neighbor would always chastise us for not shutting our water right off if we were to leave the house or leave town. So I thought this was a really smart solution.
That's cool. Wow, it's a little bit pricey.
It's not cheap. Yeah, it's about $700 US. So, a month's rent in Canada. But it does do a lot. It doesn't have monthly fees. I like the fact that it's, remote controlled with your smartphone. Like I said, you can shut your water off from anywhere in the world if you did need to, if you forgot to shut it off and you wanted it off while you were traveling or you had left town or whatever. And I'm excited to learn about some of the smart features because it can sort of monitor your water usage and apparently tell sort of which, I might be speaking out of turn here, but from what I understand, which fixtures or which areas of your house are using the most water. So, I mean, if you've got one particular bathroom where your, teenage children are using the shower a lot, you can point to what's being used on the app and say, got to cut it back.
Why is it you can't get teenage boys into the shower and then all of a sudden you can't get them out of it?
Yeah.
We know why, Jim. We don't want to talk about
that. Andrew has a good point. He says, Mike, you think that's expensive? Try a flood. Good point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the alternative to pipe bursting and not having that, all those sort of things. It's just the same thing to me as, Ecobee or Nest thermostats. Like I am shocked just to have me able to set that in vacation mode. And the Eco Plus now on Ecobee is amazing because it kind of encourages you to try living at a lower temperature sometimes or at a higher temperature, saving you money. And I've noticed we love our Ecobee, probably my favorite addition to our house in terms of smart devices. And that's just a basic one, but we love that thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's that orange box? Is it called Sense? That's the
water one?
No.
Or no, sorry, the electric one.
The electrical one.
Which I'm always surprised how that thing can know what devices are what.
Yeah,
I think it is Sense or something like that.
They install it in your breaker
in
box.
the panel.
Yeah. In the panel. And then it tries to discover your various appliances put off a certain wave. And so they've identified some of them, and so it starts getting smart about what you're using, and then you can go into the app and say, no, that is that, and this is that, and we've got that here. And
yeah, you're right, Jim. It was Sense, SENSE, $299 on Amazon.
Yeah. So that's another one of those monitoring devices. I'm currently now, Mike, I just had to go unlimited on Cox this month because we hit our cap, the cap I just raised. And I'm like, certainly that can't be Tim. My Marine son is home living with us for the next couple months. He'll be moving out. He can't be using that much bandwidth. And my daughter was here over the weekend. I'm like, and I'm not certainly using that much bandwidth, but maybe it's all adding up. But I don't have a great way of knowing at the moment, right? It's just one of those kinds of things of like, I guess I need to hurry up and put a PF Sense router in. By the time I do that, the need will be gone, right? It'll be back down to, 500, 500 gig.
I think that's easily doable. I mean, I go through almost 2 terabytes, and that's just mainly just me and Hannah and doing some other stuff. So, I mean, I am downloading a lot of games and stuff like that, but yeah, that's just me.
I know. Aaron, do you?
Eero and Google both have mesh Wi-Fi systems that can monitor the devices and what bandwidth they're using, and
Even the wired devices?
Yeah, I think so. And
Good
then
question.
you can actually throttle bandwidth to your kids' devices and prioritize your own. I know Google does that really well. I haven't experimented with it so much with the Eero system, which is Amazon's system. But I mean, how smart is that? Give your kids the laggy internet while you're trying to podcast or have a video conference, right? The ability to be able to prioritize your internet is a must-have for a lot of families, I think.
Yeah, I just don't in time, figuring all that stuff out. Now you're talking about another $300 to get those in, and so I want unlimited for the month. I was just like, okay, at least Cox allows us to kind of upgrade and downgrade through the app really easy, and so I can go in and at any point in the month kind of downgrade or upgrade kind of based on my usage. Downgrading, they make that a little bit harder. It doesn't carry over till the next month and some of those other kinds of things. But
isn't this like your analogy for hitting the like button at the end of the broadcast, that you think you're going to do it and then you just don't, Jim?
Yes.
You forget to downgrade the internet the next month. You're like, we're already into it now for this month.
No, right on. It's one of those. It is one of the things because I worry about this every day. I'm like, I wonder how much bandwidth I've used today, or when am I going to get that note from Cox that I've gone over. Now, it being unlimited, now I don't care. I'm kind of like, set up that Plex box and let's serve out TV to the world. Might as well, right? I don't care, kind of deal. So it completely changes the economy of the way I handle internet or the way I think about internet. I've been, trying to skimp and save and kind of like, God, where's all this bandwidth going? And now I'm like, turn the faucet on, water the lawns all day long. By the way, my water bill went from 50 to 90 after one summer watering the lawn. So Mike, not going to be watering the lawn this summer as much as I did last year. Let's be
I'm the same way.
We'll cover that when we have McCabe back on the show. But yeah, it's one of those kinds of things. Keeping track of that, I need to figure out a good way. Just as we kind of bring this in for a landing, I got to tell you about this really high tech coffee pot that I got this week. We've actually gone very low tech, and I got a percolator, just a regular coffee perk stovetop perk. It was $15, $15.60. You see kind of on the screen right now. Feels like it is as cheap as it looks. Let's just be really, really clear about this. It came in a box from Amazon, and we've been wanting to I have a perk. I have an all-in-one perk. So you plug it in and then you plug that into the wall, and the base on the bottom heats up the water really, really fast, by the way. But the fatal flaw is the plug. You have to, when you're washing that thing out, it gets water in it. And so the ends began to rust, and eventually it corroded, and it's not working really well. So I've been wanting to try a stovetop percolator. We bought this one, and it was just really hilarious. So I of course, I had to try it right away. It came in a box, and I was wondering if there's anything in the box. It was so light.
Very light.
It's not boxed at all. It was just had a piece of plastic wrapped around it. And so we took it out, washed it, and then put coffee in it, put on the stove, and we're doing some things. And Tim, my son, says, Dad, I feel like that thing's going to melt right on the stove. It just felt cheap and flimsy. It actually makes a good pot of coffee. So for all those smart devices that we have out there, I guess Andrew, maybe for a change, I'm actually siding with you, because Andrew's lots of times it does some, he's kind of our old school guy. Why can't I just use lights? Why can't they just work?
Yep.
Right. But old school coffee maker, old school percolator, it makes really great coffee. Like, it is just, there's something about perking coffee that just changes the flavor. It's just delicious. So, yep, $15 low tech options. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably going to buy a better one.
But at least now you've got a benchmark. You've got your threshold.
Yeah. Because I grew up with my mom she made coffee in fact, I'm hoping someday I'll inherit. I don't want anything else of hers, but I do want that coffee maker, the Perk, because she's made 50 years of coffee in it. I mean, the coffee tastes so great in those things because it's just been seasoned, right? I mean, they are
Nostalgia
in
in
a
a cup.
yeah. When you guys coffee drinkers?
Mhm.
In the van, how's coffee made in the van? How do you guys do it?
We have a percolator that we will use over the campfire. But more often than not, we'll just boil it in the kettle and we've got kind of like a cone pour over system. And then we'll just sort of make it by the half pot kind of thing to keep it hot because we don't really have a good way to keep it hot. But I picked up a Nespresso pod, tiny little Nespresso machine a few weeks ago because I've been
the old
fighting
version.
I think they're called original.
The original
pods, not the Virtuo, not the rounded one exactly. I've sort of been fighting with my old machine, which is what is it called? A super automatic machine. It's made by a company called Jura. And the machine makes good espresso. It does everything for you. You don't have to worry about it, but it's massive. So in the context of our renovation, we're trying to find better options that are also smaller. So I thought, well, I'm going to investigate this Nespresso route because we actually, Jim, to your question, we will use Nespresso pods when we're camping or in the van. And I've got a hand pump Nespresso pod machine that I can use to make espresso or coffee. So I thought, it's great for the van, it's great for camping. Maybe it'll be the answer for the kitchen. And so I broke down and finally bought one. And there's a review on techgadgetscanada.com and on the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Aaron Lawrence TV. And I love it. I was not expecting to love it. I was not expecting to trade my, fancy espresso beans for Nespresso pods, but I'm a happy camper.
They're great. I have the Nespresso. I have the new one. I can't pronounce it.
Virtuo.
Yeah, they got the curved ones, and I just love them. Mike, what do you guys
do? Nespresso. Yeah, all the way. Like I said, the first time that little foam came out on top, I thought it was weird, and then I had my first cup, and I was like, "Ooh, that's delicious." We go through.
I had no idea there was a Nespresso community. Like I kind of thought Nespresso was that, nobody really wants to drink it. It's probably not very good, and it's kind of sad that you can't make your own coffee or espresso. And I'm like, no, the coffee's good.
Yeah. It is. The early commercials kind of led you to believe that. Like, they were, I think it was Danny DeVito or someone who, and maybe even George Clooney, I think were the early Nespresso, spokespeople for that. And I remember thinking, is that like instant coffee?
Yes.
And we someone turned us on to it, and then we bought one. I think Sarah bought one for me for Christmas or something. And she's like, the owner's a gigantic coffee snob. Like he can't. He kind of did this because he wanted really good brewed coffee, but he didn't want to spend all the time to do it. So he built this thing to be able to do what it did. So they are a coffee.
Well, that's interesting. I should read up on them a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, at Christmas time, I had an order. I ordered a box of pods, and they went to work. And I thought they were supposed to come here because I don't go to work anymore. And well, I do, but I mean not the location. So I called. It was right before Christmas, and I got this guy, and he sounded like he didn't know what he was doing. Like he's like, well, I got to look. I don't know. And so he's like, I tell you what, he goes, give me 15 minutes. I'll call you right back. I was like, really? He's like, yes. So 15 minutes later, he calls me back. He goes, oh yeah, the address, the 101 Gallup Drive. Oh, I said, I shipped him to work, didn't I? He goes, yes. I'm like, I am so sorry. Like this was my fault the whole time, and I never was mad. I was mad it didn't show up, right? I wasn't mad. And he goes, I'm the regional vice president for something, and I'm helping fill in because we have people off for Christmas. and we wanted to give our staff time off for Christmas. And I was like, that's really cool. One,
Wow.
super
No
cool.
kidding. Very cool.
He's like, I was just answering the phones to kind of help out because things have been so crazy, and we've given people,
That's impressive.
So I was like, oh, that kind of warmed my heart a little bit. Like a company that would do that. I was like, okay, yeah, you got my business for, not that I was thinking of going anywhere, but that was just super cool. I think Joe had said this is the one I need to upgrade to, which is this Farberware 5124 Classic Yosemite stainless steel coffee percolator, $35. So double the price. It does look, you guys see it, and it's
a lot prettier. It's very shiny.
I have that exact one. It's great.
Do you?
Yeah, we use it for camping. Yeah, I got it for camping, and I like the stove thing that goes on top of a burner or on top of a little propane tank. It's great. Makes great coffee.
Okay, Joe, good suggestion. It says 25 on Amazon, so and a great percolator. I'll probably run this cheap one for a while, just because why not? Like, it works. It makes great coffee. I'll give it a try. So, Aaron, if folks we've mentioned this a few times, but if folks want to find you, where's all the right places to do that?
Hit me up at techgadgetscanada.com, which is the website. The YouTube channel where I do video reviews of everything that comes into the house almost is youtube.com/AaronLawrenceTV. And I am on Twitter and Instagram at AaronLYYC. And I love hearing from folks. I love getting suggestions about things to review. If people have feedback about things, if people disagree with my review or agree with my review, I like that even better. But I love hearing from folks. So hit me up on any of those channels and let me know what you think.
Can you hang out with us for a few minutes more?
I sure can, yeah.
Post show. I've got some things to kind of close up with folks, but just a couple reminders. One, big thanks to our Patreon supporters here, those that $5 or more: Brian, Tim, I gotta fix that, Ed, Aaron, Joe, Jim, Ross, Andy, John, Ed, Ryan, Justin, John, Brian, Dwayne, Nathaniel, and Paul. Thanks for what you guys do and each and every month. If you want to join us here as part of kind of partners in this on Patreon, you can do it. We have a $5 plan. It's really simple. I just have one $5 plan. If you want to do that, if you're here in the US, I'll send you a little Home Gadget Geeks coin for doing that. Head out to theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. We'll get you there. If you want to join us on and you want to do some crypto on Coinbase, not your money, crypto on Coinbase, head out to theaverageguy.tv/Coinbase. And if you sign up, you get 10 and I get 10. And it's not a bad little deal in it. If you want to talk about it, let me know. I'd love to. We'll talk. Mike and I will talk about that all day long, right, Mike?
Of course
we will. Ed's suggestion was maybe crypto in the post show needs to be a thing that comes back.
Bring it back. Yeah, it's getting exciting again.
If you want to join us in the Discord group, lots of great conversation going on over there, and I think that's the best Discord group on the internet. You can head over to theaverageguy.tv/Discord. Brian left us a message, and you could too. So if you got some advice for me on percolators, or if you got advice for me on the Mac or a watch or whatever, we'd love to hear that. Send us wasn't that kind of cool, Aaron, that they could just call in and leave a message that way?
I think that's awesome. Interaction is great.
Yeah, we love that. I mean, it can even be funny. Like, you got 30 seconds, by the way, so it cuts you off at 30 seconds, but we'd love some funny ones. Head over to homegadgetgeeks.com, and bottom right-hand corner is a little microphone. Just click it and leave a message. We love to have them there as well. You can contact me, Jim at theaverageguy.tv, and many of you do. Thanks for doing that. Find me on Twitter at Jay Collison. He is at Uyghur Tech. Of course, the AverageGuy.tv platform, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. And of course, that's Christian. MapleGrovePartners.com. Plans start as little as $10 a month. And Christian just set up, Mike, you and I have been working on this a little bit, a redundant data center for Maple Grove Partners. So now one site goes down, the other site comes up. I think we tested that. You tested it, right? All
yep.
Good to go? Yeah.
You can always access my ham radio website, which I know exactly what all you guys want to do.
We haven't talked to ham. We're gonna have to come after we get through these guests. We're gonna have to come
bring it back to ham radio. I can talk about ham radio all day. Yeah, for sure.
There we go. Aaron, have you guys tried ham radio at all? Is that something?
I have not. I understand.
Man, for your van life,
a very passionate community. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, gotta get you guys in the ham radio.
That's good.
We'll talk
out in the middle of nowhere and need emergency assistance of some kind.
Want
We
to
are-
talk to somebody on the other side of the globe? I'd be into that.
When you
Yeah,
get tired
exactly.
of talking to that guy, you just like, okay, you go kill a bear or something. Bring home some meat, and then you could jump on Ham and talk to Mike. That would be.
There we go.
Hey,
I talk to Canada all the time, actually. It's like I have a great pipeline. There's like the propagation to Canada is really good from my house. So I actually talk to Canada more.
Oh, okay.
Like the way ham radio waves work. I can't talk to Kansas, but I can talk to Canada all the time and South Africa. But like Kansas, nope, can't reach Kansas, which is right below us. So
You'll have to practice your A's.
yeah,
Eh?
right. Eh?
a boat.
I'm playing hockey
boot?
now too. So now
Yeah.
I'm really, one of our guys on our team is Canadian. So I'm really getting, all the Canadians.
Can get you an honorary maple leaf patch or something.
Okay, there we go. Ooh.
This is elevating.
I know I had street cred in Canada now. This is cool.
we are.
I'm going to boat.
We'll get you a toque, Mike. Get you a toque.
I don't know what that
Sit
is,
on
but
the
I think I'm gonna
couch.
like it.
Duke again. It's a hat.
Is it a hat?
Yeah,
Hat
and then
with a pom pom often.
do the ears come down? Is
Ah.
it that kind of hat?
No, it's more like a.
Like
I
a
don't know
beanie?
what you guys would call it.
Call it
Yeah,
a
okay,
beanie.
yeah, like a beanie, but you often with a pom pom or something.
Okay.
on top.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, enough shenanigans. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at the averageguy.tv/live. John from Channels is joining us next week, so you want to be on for that. They just had a play on announcement that came out, and of course, we've been enjoying Channels here. So come join us. I'm sure it'll be a super nerdy conversation about DVRs and watching your television content through Channels. Aaron, thanks for coming out. We'll do a little bit of post show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody. Aaron, thanks for coming on. It's always great to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I always love talking to you guys.
What's one gadget that you don't currently have that you wish you did? Is there something like jonesing for at the moment? Well, here, let me ask you this. Would you buy a Tesla if you could, or if you were in?
Ooh.
Because that's
I'd have to. If somebody was going to loan me a Tesla, like to review, would I try it? Absolutely. Would I spend like, what are they, 40 or 50 grand on one?
Yeah, they're getting to the
I'd
point
have to do my research.
They're not listen, there's luxury cars that are way more expensive than Teslas. So the problem with the Tesla, it's not, you just don't buy the car. You got to buy the charger. You got to have an electrician come out and install it. I mean, it's a whole thing, and it's still not that expensive, but it's just kind of a thing, right?
We've had this conversation because our car is old now. I think it's almost 20 years old. So we love it. It's a Volkswagen, but we have been debating getting something new. And we've talked about an electric car and potentially a Tesla, but it's like so much money, especially when we don't have a car payment now. And then there's, especially across swaths of Western Canada, you've almost got to plan your route to make sure that you can get from place to place where there's going to be a charging station, and you have to plan your road trips and your long-term stuff, or, your camping excursions in the car, if that's what you want to do with it. And I don't know that I'm ready to be that tied to the car.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys, how are the charging stations in your area? Do you know? Since you don't
know.
Okay.
No, I've never paid attention. I mean, when I see them or when we travel, I'll take note of them. We're like, oh, wow, how interesting. A charging station right here.
Mm-hmm.
But I could not tell you where there was one in Calgary or in Southern Alberta for that matter. I'm sure they must exist. I've never seen one.
Yeah. Do you see many vehicles, many Teslas around in your?
There's a few, and they're becoming more common, certainly.
Okay. But
there's not a lot. I don't think there's a ton of electric vehicle uptake in Canada, and in Calgary, where I am. I mean, that's oil country. That's been oil and gas central for the last 50 years. So I don't know. It's not something that's had the best uptake in that area.
Well, we live in corn country, and corn makes
Mhm.
ethanol. Right? Mike is smiling. The electric vehicle lobby in Nebraska is not the strongest. Let's just
But ethanol prices are really low.
Oh, well, they are now. Although we've seen a little bit of we've seen probably a 50-cent jump in gas prices just in the last 2 weeks, which I think is a little bit of a good sign for the economy. So maybe things are getting back to a little bit of normal. So, okay. So I just wondering on the Tesla side, any other gadgets that you like, man, you'd really like to have that you don't?
You know, the AirPods Max were like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to justify that purchase in the end, but I really wanted to find out. I'm super excited about the smart lighting. I've been able to try like almost all of the smart lighting that I've ever wanted to try. Frig headphones, like I think I've got like 3 or 4 headphones within easy reach. Like I've tried a lot of those. So yeah, I was thinking about that the other day because actually it was probably longer ago than the other day, but I had a bit of a lull in my review schedule. And I thought, wow, like what a great opportunity. I could pick anything I want to review right now and just go get it and review it because I have the time to focus on it. And I really had to sit back and think and go, well, what haven't I reviewed that I really am excited about trying? And what do people want to know about? What are other people out there thinking about adding to their homes or their lives right now? And what might they want? So that was kind of where I decided to bite the bullet on the AirPods Max. We'll see.
They're expensive. $500 is, yeah.
No regrets. I think you're gonna love them.
I hope not.
This is how things.
Kind of like
This is how
if they don't knock me over, they're going back. Like they are just gonna have to be like the best thing in my life in the last 6 months for me to not just justify having to return them because they're not better than gold. I don't know.
Right. Makes sense.
How do you think they'll compare to those? Do you have a pair of Quiet Comfort Bose?
No, I've never tried the Quiet
Okay.
Comforts. Actually, I've tried a bunch of other Bose headphones, and I have those Bose Opens on the way, but never the Quiet Comfort. But I think both of you guys have them, right?
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you
mine
like
are
them, right?
really old. I think because mine still have a wire. Don't even have Bluetooth, so I can't even use them with my iPhone anymore, right? Without the adapter. So I haven't been traveling as much. But yeah, mine are. Man, when did I get those? Like 2009, 2010.
Oh wow.
I got mine a couple years ago, and then right after, because this is the way it always works. Right after I bought them, they came out with Google and A-Lady integration, and so I don't have that. And to be honest, I would never use it. I'm not going to wear them in situations where I'm going to be using those features. They were for the plane, right? When I was on an airplane flying. But I'm not a big fan of cans. I don't like those over my ears. I get off the plane and the top of my head kind of hurts, and you're like,
your hair now has a ski jump.
Yeah, it's like, so they're not my favorite. They're just not my.
I think I'll probably have this. Yeah.
There we go. There's
a ski jump right there.
They sound amazing. Like they are amazing. And I thought, when I bought them, they were $350 or $400, whatever. And I thought, man, I can't believe I'm spending this kind of money. Sarah had to talk me into it. Because I should probably get these for when I travel, and I'd go back and forth. She goes, would you just go buy them and stop talking? Because I do this. I say I'm going to do it, and then I talk myself out of it.
Unless you're on the podcast.
Well, apparently Uyghur's got some kind of hold over me.
Very convincing.
Magic Mike.
I use my lawyer words, and he just,
yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. We were talking earlier about, with the AirPods at 180. That's pretty good, but I don't know if I use them enough for 180.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because I don't know, like, what do you use you use your jobbers at work?
Yeah,
you are always wired for the show.
Yep. I wouldn't do wireless for podcasting. It's never.
And you could just for I know you wouldn't use the microphone because you like your microphone, but you could use them just for listening, especially now that you're on a Mac.
No, I'm gonna go wired. I
really.
Yeah, I don't trust wireless.
But these are still going. So
Sure.
what are
Still don't
we,
trust
like,
you.
almost
Can't-
2 hours?
You're not going to bully me into this, Aaron.
Yeah. Oh, we are. We'll win.
You're not. Don't think just because you and Uyghur can talk me into this. Okay, I'm buying them right now.
Yeah.
Hey, they are on sale. I mean, how long are
I
they going to be on
know.
sale?
But it's not one of those things that like I'm thinking like, boy, I'd really like to have those. I just not because I'm not.
You know what? I wasn't either, though.
Yeah.
Because I had such a dislike for the original ones, I was like, nope, no interest in the pros. I have plenty of headphones. I don't need to start searching for other ones. And then I got them and they're just so seamless and so easy. And like the turning off and on of the transparency mode versus the noise canceling, it's like a pinch and you're done. Like there's no fussing for buttons and playing with apps and stuff. And I was not expecting to like them and I just fell in love with them. And a year later, I'm still there. So
I will say, Jim, the one thing, they are apparently releasing new AirPod Pros, and I don't know what's going to be different about them, but it's been rumored. I don't know if it's confirmed yet. But like, so I miss like the ability to control volume. You can't, like, why is that not? I would rather like hold on the side, not to switch transparency modes, but like to turn the volume up and down. So there are a few things, but since you have a watch, Jim, like that's what I use. So like you just turn the dial and, you know, and that's turning it up on my AirPods. So like the blend is beautiful. But if you needed a reason not to, they are upgrading them soon. But, you know, for 180, the new ones aren't going to be 180. They're going to be 250 probably, like these ones are.
Yeah. I was I went out for a walk and I didn't want to put earbuds in and I didn't want to even mess with it. So I just turned it up loud and put it in my pocket and listened to it that way. And so I just tell my daughter about that. She goes, don't ever do that again. And I was like, what? You cannot be walking around with your podcasts blaring in the air. She was just mortified that I had the phone in my pocket where I could hear it.
It's just full dad mode, like,
It
you
was.
know,
I might have
DJAF. It's like whatever.
I've done that in a pinch. It goes in the bra though, Jim.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to need one of those too eventually. But if this pandemic goes on much longer. So it's yeah, she was kind of mortified by it. But I don't, you know, with the Sound Mates, I think is the name of the one that I have. I just don't use them that often. And I'm just kind of afraid. I kind of feel the same way about the Bose. I bought them and now maybe I'll travel again. But they're just sitting there and I'm like, man, that was $350 for them to just sit on the shelf.
But how long have you had them?
3 years maybe now.
So I mean, you're like cost over time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they've probably paid for themselves up to this point.
I just feel bad when you spend that much on, you know, you like buying this Mac and then never using it.
Yeah.
It just sits there and runs.
It's true.
Like,
well, and that's the question with the Macs with an X. We'll find out. You know, the other thing that I don't know why this just popped into my head, but you're asking like, what else would I want to review? Yeah. I'm currently battling my husband to get a brand new Frame TV. I reviewed a Frame TV probably almost 4 years ago now, and I had it for a month, and it was amazing. And I really, in this new renovation, I want a Frame TV in the house. And he's like, no, we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need to spend, you know, $2,000 or $3,000 on a TV. But I really want one. I really liked it. I really, really liked it when I had a chance to try
Have they
it.
upgraded them?
Yeah, they announced at CES this year that they are doing one that's even thinner, which is crazy because the original Frame TV is already super thin.
Yeah.
And it hangs like the painting on your wall. So the new one is thinner. It's still 4K, and I don't know what else, maybe a faster processor on the inside. I'm not sure about the guts that are different. But that made me go, honey, the other Frame TVs are going to be even cheaper. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to get a Frame TV, like I've got to get the new one because I've got to do a review. I've got to talk about it. And my Frame TV review on the YouTube channel has over 1 million views now. That's my first video to clear 1 million views. So, I mean, there's so many people that are interested in this TV. So I was like, I'm going to have to get the new one to see if it's really all that. So
you have to. Yeah, you owe
so
it
that's
yourself.
Those are the most impressive TVs I've seen. Like my parents have one, and every time I'm there, I'm like, this thing is awesome. And theirs, because they don't watch much TV, is pretty much always in picture mode, and you would never guess it was a TV. Like it looks just so much like a painting. It's crazy.
We had people over constantly, and I started doing this like just to get people's reactions, and would be like, "Do you mind turning the TV on?" And they're like, so it's like, and I'd hand them the remote, and they're looking around for like where the TV is, and they literally could not see it. And I'm like, it's right there. And they're like, no way. And then they turn it on. It's 4K, which, you know, still a lot of people don't have. And it's like, it just blows everyone's mind. Everyone's mind. I love it.
You know, we in the 80s, a friend of mine bought a rear projection TV for $5,000. This was in the 80s. So, you know, you kind of think, you know, and it was a big, you know, 70-inch or whatever. And it really, to be honest, wasn't that good. You know, the picture wasn't great.
The bulbs weren't strong.
No,
SD.
It was a weird thing, but it was kind of a status thing, right? They had just come out and they got better, but it still wasn't very good. And then you think $2,000 or $3,000 for this now in 2020 numbers, this is pretty cheap. You know, when it comes down to it, when you think about what we used to pay for some of those things, computers were the same way. I mean, in the 80s, they were $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Mac Mini.
Well, and they do so much more now. Like this is my thing about TVs is they're a portal, they're a social media hub. You can surf the internet. They're art in this case, like legit, realistic, and attractive art for your house. Yeah. I mean, there's so much more than just TVs now. Yeah, it's just crazy how relatively, I want to be careful, relatively inexpensive all that is, you know, and you just go, why not to, you know, I started looking at monitors and you're like, really? They're that, like, really? Maybe I'll get two for what they're, you know, for what they're charging for some really nice monitors
compared to where they've been in the past, you know. So totally. Agreed.
Yeah, totally. It's been
I reviewed the LG, what is it called? Ultrafine monitor, the wider screen one. And I mean, gorgeous, loved it, amazing for video editing and for writing. But I think it's about $700 or $800 Canadian. So I mean, when you compare something like that to the TV, I mean, working at home now, like it does make me want to actually go out and get one. But you know, it's half the price of a TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Or the TV is twice the price of the monitor, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, depending on what kind of TV you get.
Yeah.
You know, there's some TVs you can, they're just bought, you know, 720p, well, 1080p is super cheap right now. So,
yeah,
you know, you can get some 60 hertz 1080p's for like $179.
Oh, yeah. They're like, giving those away.
Right. You know, and you're like, holy cow, 50. You could, you know, you're like, wow, those are cheap.
I still don't have a single 4K thing in my house.
No, I don't either.
And I'm like, I want to make the jump, but I know once I make the jump, I don't have to upgrade everything. Yeah. You know, I'm just, because I don't notice it. Like for me, I haven't, but I know as soon as the first one goes, and it's going to get to a point where they're not going to sell 1080 anymore, right? It's just going to be 4K.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't gotten there already.
Yeah.
I just upgraded. I got my first 4K TV just over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And we've upgraded the TV now in the media room and stuff. And it's, you know, you don't know what you do. You don't know what you're missing until you know, right? And then it's like, well, do you want to go watch some TV? Well, yeah, but like, let's not watch on the crappy TV. Let's go watch on the good TV. So, you know.
Oh, I watch TV right here. So I don't even know. I'm on a 1080p monitor at 2 feet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't even know that. I don't even watch TV from that standpoint, and I watch YouTube videos. It's a weird world we live in. Hey, if you're listening live, thanks for coming out tonight. I've kept you guys for 2 hours. You guys hang tight for me 1 second. Thanks for coming out, and we'll see you next week. Remember, John's coming in from Channels, so we'll see you guys next week.